Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Binance. We could very well see a little bit of movement on Binance over the weekend. So I want to jump on and I want to talk about this because I think it's very important. Michael, yes. We shall see. I'll give it a few seconds just to let everybody jump on, and then we'll start talking. We'll start yapping. Let's have a look at receipts. Okay, perfect. Okay. So a lot going on, right? And it's almost like everything's just kind of settled a little bit. Not really a great deal going on. It's the weekend. People are chilling out. People are relaxing. But the chart's telling a different story. So when you go to the weekly chart, and let's get rid of this. When you go to the weekly chart, you can see that we've had a nice impulse, couple of weeks of pullback. This week's pretty much finished, and so far so good. Basically hitting an LP. Now, this area that I've made a reference to here is an area where I'm expecting price to kind of run into, or if it does, then I'll consider adding on the experiment that we're doing. Not investing, not putting money into the market or anything like that, purely on the experiment side of things. For those that have been keeping a track through the podcast, and some of the posts that I've been doing, we're currently holding about basically $50 worth of BNB. And that's what this is. It's not the LP, right? The LP comes in here. So if we drop down to the daily chart, I want to show you guys something, right? We've already had an impulse into this area here. Price has responded a little bit. Now we're getting a little bit of topside rejection, and I'm expecting basically, just a drop to go straight through this and to eat into all of this area down here, which puts us around about 300, right? So it's not going to change much on face value. It won't change much. We're still in a broad range consolidation. Price can come all the way down to 240 and still be, relatively flat, right? While it's bouncing around in this area, but it may be the catalyst to potential downside, right? So if we kind of zoom out a little bit, I'll just do this. To kind of zoom out a little bit and we get something to the tune of this, right? So price starts to run, it hits 300, get a little bit of a response there because, it's a psychological number. People are interested in basically defending that level. But in terms of liquidity, I don't think there'll be enough liquidity, to prop these markets up to the point where we're going to go on a multi-year bull run. I've made this very, very clear, but ultimately we may very well end up in a situation where we're hovering around here and it's kind of stabilizing between 280 and 300, while this whole SEC, CFTC, investigation is ongoing. But what changes things is if this continues, right, and we do get this drop, over the next 2 days, and we end up down here around about sort of 300, right? Price is rebalancing slightly, which means we end up in a situation where you're effectively negating this week right here. Yeah. So if we end up coming all the way down and we basically hit, say, 300, we're very close to this bottom. Maybe it takes out this week's low, right? We end up in a situation where we could eat into this tail. Maybe it goes down there to just completely fill that, that wick down here, and then start to challenge some of these lower levels, but still bearing in mind that we're in this broad range consolidation, 240 to 340, bouncing back and forth, and maybe a little bit lower, but generally that's the consensus. So it's very easy to look at this and say, okay, it's impulse, it's going to pull back, and then it's going to go for that second impulse. I don't think it will. What the daily is doing is just showing an indication that it may want to just basically drop a little bit and neutralize this last move. If that happens, we're either going flat and sideways until everything's kind of resolved with the CFTC and the SEC investigation, or it continues going down. But the lower it goes, so if we start to get towards the 280, 270s, 260s, it negates the full move. And then the likelihood is that it goes deeper into this broad range consolidation and starts to, kind of hover around the bottom end. And if that happens, then there's nothing holding price up over here. The only place it's going to hold up price is basically 148, which is the number that I've been talking about, for quite some time. Again, not saying it's going to hit that level, but this is what I'm watching for, and I like to keep on top of price just to see whether or not, on a daily basis, we're seeing this kind of uptick or downtick, or what the kind of sentiment is in the marketplace, and try and get a feel for what retail investors are doing, what institutional investors are doing, and then we take it from there. Hi, Christopher. Okay. So don't forget to like the stream, guys. And there's not many people on at the minute. I'm hoping it kind of picks up. I know it's very early, to be honest. If I'd have done this later, I'm sure a lot of people are enjoying the weekend, but I'm not going to be staying around too long. I don't want this to be an over-exhaustive session. I just wanted to come on. I want to kind of go through, the Binance side of things. There's not really much to discuss in terms of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is basically just, kind of stabilizing up at the 28,000. It does dip a little bit, but so far so good. I'm still seeing that last final push into 30K. But again, I'm not really expecting price to hit 30K and then rip. I'm expecting price to just kind of go to 30K. Maybe it pops through there a little bit, but ultimately I'm not seeing any real indication, right, that Bitcoin really wants to go. And nothing's changed. The general consensus is still the same. If we go over to XRP, because I know XRP's been running a little bit. Obviously, I've got a little bit of a position open on XRP. Again, on the experiment, this is where I entered down here at 46. Got a really nice run, but I wanted to leave this position open. It's more of a, there's a lot going on with XRP and Ripple, obviously, and they have an ongoing investigation. They've got an ongoing court case with the SEC. If they win that, this thing is just going to absolutely rip. It's going to explode. There's absolutely no question, no doubt in my mind whatsoever, right, that if Ripple wins the court case, XRP will absolutely explode. And a lot of people have been getting into XRP on the expectation that that is indeed the case. As far as I'm concerned, and I'm going to say it now, nobody knows what's going to happen with that unless, they're on the inside. And then ultimately, it is a gamble. Anybody that enters XRP on the premise, right, that they're going to win the court case, it's a gamble. You're taking a punt. You're taking a shot. For me, it's part of the experiment, and I have not been keeping abreast of the court case. I've not been keeping abreast of what's been happening with that with the SEC. So, it is literally just, at the time I was expecting 55. We hit 55 plus. I was up around about 25% on the position, but I've managed, but I've left that position open, happy to just kind of leave it. I do think we get that secondary impulse, to around about 60, 66, 67, possibly 68. So I'll see how that kind of fares. And that's about it in terms of the analysis. Focus was on Binance. Monthly is not looking great, to be honest, on Binance. If I just remove this now, the monthly really isn't looking great on Binance, to be honest. It is getting very messy up here. And with what's happening with Binance and some of the things that they've been saying and some of the things that are going on, it is possible that we start, this month, as of today, the 1st of April, a little bit of a pop maybe, but ultimately I think we're going to start to, kind of expand to the downside and start to hit some of those numbers I discussed earlier. So that's it for the analysis. Yeah, I'm not feeling too bad, Rick. I'm not feeling too bad. I've got a dual inhaler, so I'll just briefly tell you, because obviously I know why you're asking. I normally have I've basically got this, yeah. So I've got loads of these scattered all around the house, and this is the reliever. Anybody who's got asthma knows this is a reliever pump, and my asthma has been getting really, really bad. I had a really bad asthma attack while I was sleeping, and I kind of woke up, couldn't breathe, all the usual, right? So I had an asthma review recently, and they said, we need to get you on a preventative, back on a preventative. And the reason that I don't really like taking the brown inhaler is because it's a steroid, right? And it kind of relaxes the muscles, so you're not having an asthma attack continually throughout the day. But because anybody who knows anything about asthma is like, you're in a constant state, of an asthmatic attack effectively, and you need to relax those muscles, right? So as you're going throughout your day, the likelihood of something triggering an asthma attack, whether it's aerosols, whether it's something in the air, whether it's the smells, whether it's food, whatever, is a lot less. But it makes me dizzy. So I stopped taking that years ago. And she prescribed me something called Symbicort, which is basically a dual turbo inhaler, that has two things in it. It's got a reliever and it's also got the steroid in there. So I took that, or I've been taking that over the last 2-3 days. It has helped, absolutely 100%, but I hate taking this shit. So we'll see how it fares. I'd rather avoid it all, to be honest. I mean, I tried to. I'm stupid. I mean, I actually tried to. I tried to get rid of my own asthma, right, by running and just keep running and running. I just ran for hours, and I couldn't breathe, and I just kept running and I just kept running, but it didn't work, basically. Sometimes you just have to accept you've got to take, you got to take medicine. So yeah, any questions? Anybody want to go through anything? Anybody want to talk about anything? Don't forget to like the stream. And if anybody's got any questions, anybody wants to go through anything cryptocurrency related, let me know. I'll stick around for another 10 minutes or so. Not a great deal to discuss in terms of anything else. I really just wanted to focus on Binance today, which I think is very important. There's a lot of stuff going on. Be mindful. Daily doesn't look great to me, and I'm seeing all the signs of a potential drop to at least 300. So we'll see. Let's take a look at Twitter. I'm shaking, Elon Musk. Are you? Crypto. Not sure why I'd be shaking, but anyway. Coin Bureau, going to be doing a video on the top crypto Twitter accounts. Who would your picks be and why? I don't know, man. Invested Intelligence. He's pretty smart, I think. Definitely think he's pretty smart. That was me. This guy, Ash WSB, man, what a lunatic. Hit like if I should post more charts and technical analysis on Bitcoin and other altcoins. Well, considering within a 2-hour period, he posted Bitcoin dumping and then Bitcoin extreme bull or extreme bullish. That's in a 2-hour period. Scary stuff, man. Scary stuff. Is crypto still a big deal? Yes, it is. Will a crypto project and its token succeed? Yes, it will. Let's take a look at CoinDesk. What are they at? I'm just having a quick scan through. I've not had a chance to look at the markets today in terms of cryptocurrency news. Yeah. Let's take a look at this one. Bitcoin price, XRP prediction as XRP becomes best weekly performer, new high coming in 2023, possibly. Binance crypto exchange accused of allowing US firms to circumvent derivatives trading ban. What's going on? And this is the thing. This is why it's so tentative. Christopher, you were asking questions about launching on Binance and all of this sort of stuff. It's tentative. I mean, anything can happen at any moment. Very, very dangerous, but ultimately we have to go with what we see. We can't change, the dynamics or the environment that we're launching into, and picking another chain doesn't make sense because we're not going to get the volume, so I don't believe Binance is going anywhere. But ultimately it'll just be, if anything happens, it'll be a slap on the wrist. Binance, has a bit of a downturn, and all the big players will step in and start to buy it back up again. Ideally at 148, which is where I'm looking to to start paying attention. Steroid is anti-inflammatory. Lots of people don't like the side effects. I hear. Yeah, man. Yeah. I can't stand it, man. I hate that stuff. But I've always trained. I've always, been active. I've always been in the gym. My asthma went away for years. I was perfectly fine. But I'm allergic to bees as well, so I've got a lot of intolerances, and there's a lot going on. I've got a lot going on with my body, to be fair. A lot of inflammation. And I've looked into everything. Turmeric and all of the natural stuff. I've looked into colloidal silver. I've looked into everything you can possibly imagine, like injecting oxygen into my blood. But I feel most of the time I feel fine. The biggest issue for me really is just this kind of, I think there's a lot more crap in the air, and I notice it now, and I'll start to kind of wheeze a lot more in this, this sort of thing. But in terms of physical strength and physical, whatever, I feel fine. I feel great. But steroids, they can irritate you like quite a lot, to be honest, and they make me really dizzy, to be fair. So I'm going to take it easy with these things. But yeah, okay, so that's it. Yep. Again, any questions, let me know. Let me check the Discords just in case anybody's saying anything in any of the Discords. Okay. No, fantastic. Cool. All right. So I'm going to give it another minute and a half. I'm going to wait just in case anybody's typing anything. Other than that, we'll close out the stream. Like I said, just wanted to jump on, give everybody a heads up of what's happening with Binance, especially going into this weekend. To be mindful, to be cautious, as always. Make sure you have a plan, and all good. Christopher's saying yes. Okay, Christopher. Just try and make it one question, man, because I'm really tired, man. You know, if you don't mind. Yeah. And any other questions you've got, just throw them in the Discord and I'll catch them in a little while. But I'll hang around, don't worry. Just give me 1 second. Just type your question. I'll be back in a sec. Oh my God, man. Boom. And I'm sure everybody that's on the stream obviously watched or was at or attended the RFEC yesterday. Got a lot going on. All of the funds, you know, they're all being kind of consolidated onto Fireblocks. Everything's getting sorted on that side of things. Any updates, obviously, I'll keep you guys posted. Just waiting for this line by line to get done now for RFTX, and we are good to go. So again, just I don't really want to sit here paused, you know. So I'm going to give it another minute or so, Christopher. I'm assuming you're typing your question. This is why I'm waiting. What else is there to keep an eye? Ship. You know, it's really interesting. I mentioned to you guys yesterday, if you were around for the RFVC, I went to a conference and I ended up speaking to somebody. Who was talking to me about squid grow. It was such a random conversation, but it was actually an interesting conversation as well. And I was saying, oh, you know, I don't believe it's really him. I think it's somebody else and this and that. And he was like, no, I think it is. And It was very, very interesting conversation. But yeah, okay. So Christopher's saying, do you think crypto will end? No, I don't. I think what we think crypto is and what we would like it to be will be different when regulation comes in, you know, when things happen. There is no reason. Christopher, listen, you have to try to understand the mechanics, right, of what is happening, right? The best way that I can describe it to you is like this, okay? You've got cryptocurrency, which is decentralized. No, forget about all of that. You've got cryptocurrency, which is decentralized, okay, which gives power to the people that are using it. Us, you, me, Rick, anybody else that's on the stream, anybody else that listens to the stream later. I can basically go on, I can buy Bitcoin, I can put it on a ledger, it's mine. Nobody can touch that, it belongs to me. The only way that you're getting that ledger is if you pry it from my dead hands, right? So there's that side of it. It's decentralized. It gives us power over our own money. Then you have the governments, the powers that be. They don't want cryptocurrency because of that very reason. It gives us way too much power. So the way that they fix this problem is by saying we need to destroy crypto or we need to control it. Now, right now, they can't control cryptocurrency, so they're trying to destroy it. This is why we're seeing all of this madness that's happening. The SEC is going full bore. We're seeing some countries that are, you know, we see some countries that are embracing cryptocurrency, and we see some countries that are rejecting cryptocurrency. Nothing dissimilar to what we've already seen in the past, but this is way more aggressive right now. Okay, so because it's more aggressive, the question, do you think crypto will end? It won't. But what's going to happen is what that looks like in the future is going to be a completely different story. Like, we have no idea what cryptocurrency is going to look like. For all we know, in a year's time, the entire cryptocurrency market globally has been regulated, and we are basically put in a box and we have to just basically play ball. You know what I mean? And use crypto the way that we're told to use crypto. If that happens, what are we going to do? There's nothing we can do, or in a year's time, things are a mess. The people have spoken, people reject, people fight back and say, no, I don't, I want to be able to control my own, my own money. I want to be able to engage in crypto my way, and regulation starts to kind of work around that. I personally don't think that's going to be the case. I think ultimately the powers that be will always, push to do things, their way, and they always get their own way. Let's just be frank. People just don't want to accept it. People don't want to hear it, but that's just the fact. It's a fact. If a government does not want to let go of something, it will not let go. It will tighten its grip, period. Less money, liquidity crisis. No. If large institutions start to come in, and let me tell you guys something else as well. The only way large money is coming into the cryptocurrency market is if that large money knows it's going to make money. Yeah, period. So big institutions like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, some of the big players, corporates, whatever. They only put money into markets when they know they're going to make money. They're not in the business of losing money, right? So when you start to see a ramp up of that, just know the market's going to be heavily manipulated, way more than it's already manipulated. Do I think the crypto market will end in the next 10 years? I don't know, man. If I knew that, I would be a billionaire. I'm trying to. I mean, obviously, I any questions that you ask me, I'll always answer. But your questions are starting to. They're starting to go down the line of trying to eliminate fear or trying to capitalize on crypto, right? What happens is I'll give you an example. You asked me a question earlier about the blockchain, right? And you were saying, if Binance goes under, what happens to RFTX, or RFTX crashes, all of this sort of stuff, right? The stuff that we spoke about in the Discord. That's a fear-based question, right? It's a very similar question. It's a very similar question that somebody asked me in 2011 when I was teaching him how to trade Forex. And he was like, do you think the Forex market's basically going to, disappear? And I was like, no, it won't, And I still get that question now because people fear, putting money into something and it not working. People fear putting money into something and it just not being there anymore. It's not about losing money. It's like, it's not fair. It comes across as, not you. I'm just saying people come across as it's not fair. There's people that have made money in cryptocurrency. And now that I want to make money in cryptocurrency and catch this trend, this next bull run, all of a sudden the SEC's gone nuts, and it's not fair. What, I really want to put, you've got to kind of put all of that stuff aside and just say, look, man, cryptocurrency is an evolving technology. We know for a fact it's going to be used, period. There's absolutely no question about it. Cryptocurrency isn't just going to disappear. Think about it. A lot of the blockchain technology, right, is already implemented in, accounting. It's in, it's being implemented in NFTs. It's being implemented into law firms and so on. The technology isn't going anywhere. It's just it's expanding and increasing at a rapid pace. Being able to capitalize on that's a completely different story, right? And you need to be able to take a step back and just say, look, do you know what this really boils down to? It's a risk. It's as simple as it gets. It's a risk. If anybody trades crypto or invests in cryptocurrency because they think it's going to solve their problems, right, you're going to lose money and it's not going to solve your problems. You may get lucky. You might catch a nice little run, but unless you have an investment plan and you understand what it is that you're doing, you will, you will always trade or invest with fear. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's the best way that I can. That's the best way that I can answer. And I'm really trying to understand your mentality, where you're coming from, why you're asking the questions that you're asking, so I can better answer the questions and maybe try to put your mind at ease. But there's just some things that I can't. I'm very smart, guys. I don't really say that. In fact, you probably never hear me say that. But I am, I'm smart. I understand the way things work. And I call the markets literally to pennies sometimes. But as I've always said, being able to call the markets or being able to understand something doesn't mean you can capitalize on that, because we're the problem, so those people out there, for example, and this is purely hypothetical and it's a pure example, but those people out there, right, that look at XRP and say, do you know what? I'm going to take a gamble, right, that XRP is going to win the court case, or Ripple in this case is going to win the court case. Ripple are the issuer of XRP. So I'm going to stick 100 grand into this. If it pays off, fantastic. That person makes millions, but if it doesn't pay off, that person loses. But that person has a right, to say, yeah, I made millions, taking a shot on XRP, because they took a shot, they took a massive risk. That's just the way it is. It's always going to be down to just, how big are your cojones, so to speak. Are you prepared to just go for it? Everybody's different, man. But you see, this is my point, Christopher. You keep asking the same questions because it's almost like it's fear. Maybe a trend and then it ends. I mean, I don't know. And I don't know. Sorry, I think you might have posted that before. Do you think it will end? The crypto market will end in the next 10 years. Maybe a trend and then it ends. Yeah, have a fantastic weekend, man. No problem. So yeah, I'm gonna call it there, and I'm just trying to think, what time is it now? I may be around a little later. There's some things that I need to take care of, and then obviously I'm going to update everybody in the RFTX Discord. We'll see how that goes. It'll just be addresses and stuff, things that I need to sort out. Bye, Christopher. Just some things that I need to sort out. And yeah, outside of that, I'll be around in all the usual places if anybody needs me. I hope everyone is having an absolutely fantastic weekend. And I will catch up with you guys in a little while. Take care. Ciao for now.